What is going on, movie meals? Movie meals. Before we get into 007 here, thank you, movie meal patrons. Go get some merch, all that great stuff. Link in the description. Follow us on all those apps, TikTok, Letterbox, all that good stuff. Uh, James Bond. What is it? No time to die. No time to kill.
No
No
time to
time for you.
die.
No time for you, sir. Um, anyway, no time to die. Kyle and I got a chance to see it this weekend. Just schedules were tough this weekend to film, so we're coming out with a little later review. But let's get into it. Kyle, what were your positives of No Time to Die? Daniel Craig's last performance.
Yeah, and with Daniel Craig's last performance in this character, I say that they did a really good job of giving him a proper send off. I mean, it feels like a long time ago now, but the last movie that he did with Bond is back in 2015 with Spectre, which you and I think both agree. I don't know if we did a review on it, to be
It
honest, but
sucks.
yeah, it's
It
less than
sucks.
it's definitely no Skyfall, that's for sure, but that's
It
pretty high
sucks.
bar for it. So it was good to see that Daniel Craig finally got like that one last movie to where it gave him a proper send off, and I think it really does a good job at treating the character with respect, along with the arc that he's gone through these 5 movies now. And I think it's a good encapsulation of what we loved about his character or his portrayal as Bond between the gritty character driven aspects that we've seen throughout this era of the Bond films, but also it still was able to go back to kind of being more fun, having that espionage feel, that spy, the fun parts of being a spy with all the gadgets and whatnot. It felt more enjoyable as compared to like Spectre, which felt more like a downer, almost too much.
Sucked.
And it yeah, and it sucked. But I think it
Sucked.
was just a good combination of both, that the director, the Fukunaga, Cary Fukunaga, I believe
Yep.
is the guy who directed this. I think he did a really good job at bringing that send off with success. Daniel Craig is obviously great in the role, not to mention all of the other, returning cast members that we've seen, such as the likes of Ben Whishaw, Ralph Fiennes, Naomi Harris, but also the new inclusions of Ana de Armas and Lashana Lynch were really good, and they brought different female fatales opposite of Daniel Craig's Bond that I think we haven't seen this franchise, and sadly we're probably not going to see them again because this is the final send off, or unless they think of spin-offs, I'm not sure. But I thought that they had different interactions that we haven't seen before in any of the Bond movies that I can think of, so I was really uh happy to see that those two new characters that they brought in did as well as they did. And uh, surprisingly, one of my favorite parts was um, Bond and the pairing of him and Madeline, who honestly I forgot was in Spectre. That's how long ago and how much that movie wasn't good. But right from the get go, I was really into the relationship and the romance aspects and the trials and tribulations that came with it throughout this movie. And they kind of made for some of the more personal aspects that I really liked. And again, it wasn't not so much like really much of a downer when it came to the will they won't they aspect, but rather it gave what I think James Bond throughout this franchise kind of needed, was a bit more of a emotional boost. Like, it really, I felt like he was more emotional in this than I've seen in the other films that I can recall of the Craig era. So I don't know, for some reason between that and the really great visuals and the great action, it had like the really great flavorings of what Bond should be, and I think it was just a really good send off in general. So I was just really happy to see this in the theater because it was just a great theater experience, and honestly, it might be my second favorite Bond movie, right behind Skyfall, surprisingly. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Uh, it's no surprise if you've watched the channel. I think Bond is just massively overrated. I think all the movies stink. No, I'm just kidding. I like a few. I've seen a couple of the old ones. The first Bond movie I ever saw, I have since discovered is widely considered like the worst Bond movie ever made.
Ouch.
um yeah, I've seen a few of the older ones that are that I enjoyed. Skyfall I like, Casino Royale. I
Mhm.
hated Spectre. I thought Spectre was god awful. But for this, Spectre was so bad Daniel Craig in interviews was like, I would literally rather stab my eyes out with a fork or whatever it takes than
I
do
remember.
Bond again. He hated it
Yeah.
so much. Daniel Craig is a superb actor. I like him a lot. I
Oh yeah.
did like his performance here. And I liked the direction. I thought the script worked for really closing out all of these storylines. There's a few characters who you mentioned that, you know, I don't want to give any spoilers away, so I'll just say Kyle mentioned quite a few characters. A few of them I thought would be in the movie a lot, and they're not. And that was a bummer for me. I wish they would have.
Yeah.
The action and the score, though, I love the Bond theme. I've always been a big score guy. I love the Bond theme and score. I think it's really good. The action in the beginning, I really liked. And then we got a little bit more of it at the end. It went from like, the beginning was like Fast and Furious, and then the rest was a spy movie. And I liked the Fast and Furious stuff. I enjoyed the spy parts. I liked the plot. Rami Malek was solid as a villain. I thought all the performances were good. I really like what's his name again? The guy who plays Q.
Ben Whishaw.
Ben Whishaw. He is awesome. I want to see him more in film. He's so good. Mary Poppins. He's awesome. I like him a lot. But yeah. So
good actor.
For you, what are your negatives?
For these Bond movies, you really need to have a great villain. And Rami Malek, well, I thought the performance was pretty solid. I didn't really get swept away by his villain. And I think it might just come down to writing. Like, I felt like they had a good idea for giving this character enough motivation to where audiences can buy into it. And I did through like the first half of the movie, but then somewhere along the way, it kind of feels like they weren't sure what else to do with this villain. And in doing so, while the performance was good, it just kind of had him come across as bland towards the end, or even just like searching for a reason to be in the movie. Despite, you know, the sort of connections that he has within the story, which I thought were pretty good and pretty interesting. But I don't know, somewhere along the way, it kind of just, with the villain, it just kind of lost its place in the movie. And then it wound up causing Rami Malek's character to fall short of not high expectations, because I think, you know, Javier Bardem, and Christoph Waltz had really great villains throughout this era, and same with also Mads Mikkelsen, by the way. But those were already really high bars, and it would have been hard for him to achieve those high bars. But I don't know. I think somewhere along the way, it just fell short due to the writing, perhaps. I can't really place a good enough reason why, but that's the best that I can do with that.
Christoph Waltz's villain Inspector sucks. His performance in this movie is light years beyond what they made, and he is an incredible actor. I mean, he is a talent. But yeah, everything about Spectre sucks from start to finish. It kind of felt like in the movie they started writing and they wrote this really cool villain to begin with, and they're like, we're gonna set this guy up, and then they're like, wait a minute, we got to close out all these Bond loops for Daniel Craig. And so they kept going and they kept going and they kept going, and all of a sudden they were like, wait, we forgot about our villain, and they throw it in at the end because he takes a big break in the middle where there's kind of two villains in the movie. It just turns out that, you know, some shenanigans are taking place with who's on whose side. But this movie is atrociously too long. It is almost 3 hours. Get rid of the music videos. I do not care. If you're a Bond legacy guy,
Billie Eilish.
Bummer. Didn't like it when it was Adele, even though she won the Oscar. Great song. Song's great. Songs are great.
Great song.
But put it at the end. I want to leave. I want to get up. I want to go. I was eating my popcorn. I forgot that they even do it. I'm going to give you a slight spoiler. The music video in this one's like 20 minutes into the movie. You have to watch 20 minutes. Me and my popcorn, have a good time. And in my head, I go, I don't want to sit here for the next 10 minutes and eat my popcorn. I'd rather wait and watch the film. So I put my popcorn down because I wanted to watch. I hate them. And I'm all for opening credits, but they are so long. The artwork went from like in Skyfall, I remember thinking, you know, this is kind of dumb, but the artwork I really do appreciate here. I like the song. But now it's gotten to the point where it's just such a CGI fest that I can't handle it anymore. I never could. Let's be honest. I get rid of it. The movie is way too long. They tried to do so much, and the villain suffers because the movie's too long. It's almost a 3 hour movie. Bond does not need to be, you can cut 20 minutes out of that movie, and I would feel light years better.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest problem. I think the movie's fun, it's action, but it's just so long. I don't love the character of Bond. I'm kind of in the camp, and I was in the camp when I saw some of the early movies of people who are like, Bond is he's a pretty tough character to like when you just with the way he treats women and things like that. But I do think this
Sure.
franchise has done a good job for Daniel Craig of making him less of a misogynist and more of like actually kind of loving people, but at the same time he doesn't. And there's scenes in this movie where he doesn't. And I actually thought in this movie more than any of them, the scene where there's kind of a scene where something kind of might happen, and I like the way it's played. It's played off very well.
Oh, yeah.
By a specific character, and I really like how it's done, and I like the way they wrote Daniel Craig's response, 007's response. All the performances are really good, but these movies are just like, I was sitting there when the movie finished, I was like, man, this just makes me want to watch Kingsman. Like, it makes me want to watch a spy movie that I really, really do love. I think
Any other
better,
spy movie,
shorter. It's true. I mean, will I take Skyfall over Bridge of Spies? Probably. But I'm not a big Bond guy, never have been, but I enjoyed my time. I thought the movie was A-okay. And I feel like that's a solid score. It's A-okay. I'm waiting for this guy to look at me and acknowledge my A-okays before I have to say it a fifth time.
I approve it. Yeah.
All right. Well, you got anything else on Bond, or should we wrap this up?
No, congrats to Daniel Craig. Now he can go off and do all the Knives Out movies that he wants to do. So, hey, one franchise to another. Good for him, I guess.
All right. Well, guys, what did you think? Comment below. Let us know. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Thank you to the Movie Meal patrons. And as always, thank you for watching, Mom.
See you guys.